There we go. So thanks for coming. Jen is he'll introduce himself, but I just want to say a couple things. He and I met, it's been three or 4 years ago.
I think it's three years ago. I think we met each other at 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 2018. 18, 20, 3.5 years ago.
So as far as sharing a research question, the current research project that I'm wrapping up is actually it was a quantitative one. And so as many of you know, I prefer qualitative research. And so this was the first big quantitative project that I tackled. And I think I was just telling somebody this past Saturday that when I got to doing so I created a survey, ran the survey in Qualtrics. And then when it was time to do the statistical analysis, I know some folks who do that. That's their full-time job, doing that type of thing. And so I asked one of them to help me do my stats. And she said, oh, sure, I'll help you. And then when it got time to do it, she said, just send it to me. Just send me the whole file and I'll do it for you. It'll be so much easier than trying to walk you through it. So that kind of is like par for the course for me in my quantitative analysis. I'm writing the journal article from it, and then I have to run all the numbers part by her to make sure I have everything correct. So let me ask Laddie to go next. Laddie, am I saying your name correctly? You have to unmute yourself.
My name is Dimeji Suleiman. It's nice to meet everyone. My research question actually, I don't know if I just need to introduce myself or what did I need to do? Just introduce myself?
Yes. Yeah, and just say where you're at in the master's program.
Okay.
And then say what your research question.
Okay. My name is Dimeji Suleiman, and I'm majoring in master degree in leadership organization, and I have about 9 more credits to go after this class. My research question basically is about how Asian expatriates are integrating into African culture. The expatriates that work in Africa are integrating into African culture to lead their followers effectively. That is what my research question is. It's around cultural intelligence subjects and how they are be able to integrate to the community they are working in. There is a lot of Asian expatriates in Africa now. Just like a joke that they are pushing the European out and going in heavily on the construction of roads, of railways, and so many projects. And there have been a lot of cultural misunderstanding in the country, especially in Africa. But that's why I'm interested in that topic anyway. So it's how they're integrating into the environment they're working now, because they are the expatriate, they are the leader. So the local staff are more or less like the followers. So that's what my research question is based on. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Danielle, would you go next, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Danielle, and I am currently in Georgia right now. And I hope to be working on my thesis for organizational leadership this fall. finishing up the classwork this summer. And then my research question for this class is, what are the indicators of shared leadership found in institutional policy and procedures at Georgia Tech, which is where I work?
Fabulous. Thank you. And Heather. Did I ask her to unmute? Uh-oh. Maybe we'll have to come back to Heather. Heather, we're going to come back to you, okay? I don't know if something's going on with her connection. So we'll come back to her. All right, and Jen.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I guess it's all evening. I don't know. Oh, sorry. Lottie, you are, I don't know. I'll just say good evening. My name is Jen, and I am a PhD student in Engineer Education System and Design, which you can see on this cover page of my presentation. So I'm currently working on my dissertation, and I am very lucky and honored to have Dr. Chandler as one of my committee members. So I've been working with her for a couple months on my on the first phase of my dissertation, which is a qualitative study. And I'm planning to participate and pass, hopefully, my comprehensive exam by the end of the summer. So today, I'm honored to be here to share my experience doing qualitative coding and doing qualitative project on MaxQDA and working with Dr. Chandler with you today. So my research questions, so I have 3 research questions.
Jen,
and I put them in on the set. What say?
Jen, is that all right? I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Is that okay? If students have questions, can they just interrupt you? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So they could just like, should they wave at you or just shout out or?
Yeah, just shout out. Just like unmute yourself and shout out to me. If you're louder than me, then I will back up and let you talk. Okay, do we want to wait for Heather to make a introduction? Or should I just proceed to my?
No, I just she was able to submit a chat before she left, and her camera and her mic were disabled. So she's gonna watch the recording. So she's not gonna be able to rejoin us.
Okay. All right, it'll work for me. All right. I put a little presentation over here. Hopefully it will help us. Hopefully it will help you to follow me and to track what I'm talking about. So I have 5 bullet points to cover today. So first, I'm gonna introduce what my research questions are, and then I'm gonna show you example of what a codebook looks in XQDA. Then I'm gonna share with you what the process of the coding I did, and then I want to share with you an example of a coding structure change. The coding structure change is very common when you do the coding, when you're organizing your codes, organizing your categories. And sometimes you will realize that the first structure you originally come up with didn't work or won't be able to answer your research question, then you have to change the structure. So I will cover that part when we get there. And then the last one is I'm going to share with some of my experience and takeaways working with Jennifer. All right, let's go to it. So this is, so the research questions I'm sharing with you today are the research questions for the qualitative study of my dissertation. So as I mentioned before, I am a PhD student in engineering education. So my research interest is how to develop better workforce on engineers, and specifically on engineering graduate students. And luckily I have experience, I have opportunities working with the engineering research centers. And so within the centers, I experienced and observed a lot of engineering graduate students having hard times learning and developing leadership. And sometimes some students are better than the others. Some of them are struggling. And I was actually the one who was struggling, which encouraged me to study on this topic, not on the leadership. And also within the Engineering Research Center, we offered a very unique opportunities for the graduate students to mentor the undergrad students, the teachers, the high school students to do research in our lab. And the part of that mentoring experience really developed the understanding, the essence and components and the taste of a leadership. And that was the reason behind my dissertation, that why I want to study the mentoring and the leadership together. So I have 3 research questions. The first research question is so the ERC stands for Engineering Research Center, which is like a multi-institution collaboration research center. So I just use acronym ERC in my research question. So first research question, how do ERC engineering grad students mentors understand leadership? Number 2 question is, how is their mentoring experience related to the development of their understanding of leadership? Number 3, how is their understanding of leadership influence their career decision making? So here, what I'm showing you here is a screenshot of the code book for my project. I know it's probably a little small for you to see, so I want to show you what it looked like in MaxQDA. So here, let's see. Okay, so I need to stop sharing first. Then I will share into this.
So while you're doing that, while you're switching screens over to MaxQDA,
Yeah.
I just want to, I'm sorry, I want to turn it off. I have the automatic transcription on, and sometimes the stuff it comes up with for what it called MaxQDA was something cutie ma. You heard the
MaxQDA ma, yeah.
MaxQDA ma. Like, I don't know what the AI coding is.
Oh,
this.
now it said MaxQDA.
Like, and now we have, anyway, I'm gonna turn that off because that's
I
really
use
distracting
the
me.
transcription at work for my training sessions, and sometimes it really cracks me up.
Yeah, anyway, so but I want to, can you put the screen back? I'm sorry, Jen, but can you put the screen back to your research questions?
Sure.
Because one of the things that all the students in this class now have their research questions all locked in now. But we did spend quite a bit of time, some students spent more time than others on locking in those research questions. And one of the things that was challenging and it always is for beginning researchers, is to, in a qualitative study, is to ensure that the wording of the qualitative research question matches a qualitative study. And I wanted to mention on your 1, 2, and 3 research questions here that what we're doing in this class, that what you have on the screen for number 2 and number 3 are actually the type of research questions that we have been steering away from for the way that students have been structuring their research questions for this class, because we have such a tight time frame. The way that you have your questions structured for your dissertation in number 2 and number 3 are they lean more toward a cause and effect kind or a correlation kind of relationship. And we've been focusing on how that would be too large in terms of scope. That would be too much for a student in this class to try to tackle. But the way that question number 1 is phrased is solid. Like those are the kinds of research questions that students in this class are encouraged to create and use for their practice in this class. And I just wanted to bring that out because I think the students who are going to watch this recording would probably have noticed that about number 2 and 3. And then they would be thinking, I wonder why Jennifer didn't say anything about that. So I wanted to make that connection between your work, which is much larger in scope than what the students are doing in the class. Thank you for letting me do that.
Oh, no problem. No problem. That's a right on. That's right. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. My number 2 and number 3 questions are quite a large from the study scope wise, because Dr. Chandler said you have to go big, because otherwise you can't graduate.
Absolutely. You have to address meaningful questions, meaningful things. Absolutely. Yep. And that idea of influence that influence their career decision-making in number 3. And then where in number 2, where it talks about related to the development, that's where it's setting up those relationships that makes those questions more complex and more meaningful. Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem. So Lottie, am I saying your name? Am I pronouncing your name right? Correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is it Lottie or Lady?
Lottie.
Lottie. Okay. All right. Lottie and Danielle, do you have any questions for me before I just switch screens to show you what what my code book looks in the next QA?
Okay, I have a question regarding why 3 questions, and do you wording the 3 questions in a way so you can address the basic interior of your research, or what is the relationship of the 3 questions and why is having 3 questions?
Okay, that's a perfect question. So, so I'm gonna answer this because the reason I have 3 questions is based on how how my dissertation was planned, how my dissertation was designed. So my dissertation is a mixed method study. And I designed it as an exploratory study, which normally includes a qualitative piece at the front and a quantitative piece at the later. And so when I start on this, I only have an idea that I want to study the connections and the connections between the mentorship and leadership on the ERC engineering graduate student mentors. But I don't have any specific, I don't have a specific topic in my mind I want to look at. Then I just go look for literatures. I talk with my advisors, talking with my committee members, and so we come up with 3 possible topics which fall under the big bucket of mentorship and relationship, mentorship and leadership for the engineering grad student mentors. And so because I'm doing the exploratory study, so the function and the purpose for the first phase qualitative study is to explore different topics under my big bucket and to see what I can find within under different topics. Then from there, I will pick and choose and design a quantitative study to focus on either one or two of the three topics. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Very great
Thank you.
questions. No problem. No problem. Great questions. Yeah, that was on me because everything. So you probably both of you probably already have the grasp on this. Like for the research, everything is interconnected with each other. So your research questions interconnect with your research goals, with your research design and the methodology. So that was on me. So my research questions interconnected, not just my qualitative study, but the entire structure of my dissertation study. Great question. Great question. Thank you. Do you so Lottie and Danielle, do you have other questions? Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to switch my screen to Max, so my Max QDA window. All right. Have you both had Max QDA installed on your computer? Have you tried to like explore it, play with it already?
All the students in the class have already begun to use Max QDA, and they have all the students have identified their data sources and have they're all in the process of loading those into Max QDA and completing their coding. And so they're all in different stages of completing their coding.
Okay.
That's where they're at right
so
now. And just one note, one of the students who couldn't make the session was particularly interested in how Max QDA is used to code videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do a demo.
That student isn't coding videos, but they were really interested to know, well, how does that work?
Okay, I can do a demo. I can do a demo. There's not a problem. So first, let's do a make it more interactive. So Lottie and Danielle, do you know what this? So I'm moving a window. Can you? Oh, can you see it? Oh, you probably okay. So you probably can see it. My window's moving. Oh, sorry. So this MaxQDA, it's a code system window. Can you see that?
Yes.
So do you know where that window is coming from? Do you know what that window says?
From right underneath the memos, you have the code system button.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, when you open the MaxQDA in general, by the default, this window isn't this big. This window is like smaller, and it put on the bottom, like what Danielle said, I put at the bottom left, right under the document system. Because my code system is too complicated, I need a bigger space to show you what they look like. So I just maximize it and just make it bigger. So for for anyone who's wondering where this window coming from and why it doesn't look similar to your MaxQDA, that's why. So this is a code book. So I'm showing you this example of my code. This is the code book of my qualitative study. Then I have 872 codes, but a lot of them are very detailed. I can see Danielle like, what? You won't
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure. Go ahead.
Have a pre-plan of codes and like rules set on how you were going to have 187?
No, I don't have any plan at all. That's why I use the initial coding when I first coding all my videos.
Okay.
I didn't have a plan. I don't know what I talk. So same as I answered a lot of these questions, that when I did this study, I have no idea what can I find. I would just say, okay, I have these topics. I'm just going to explore what I can find. So I just chose the open initial coding methodology to see, okay, I'm just going to jot down everything I found.
So take a little bit of a step back and tell them about, you had to do the IRB process and build your whole semi-structured interview guide. And then you had to set up all these interviews with all of those things in your documents. Those are all video recordings of all the interviews that you conducted.
Oh, okay. You want me to go through all those?
Well, I mean, otherwise, they're just so they know what you have in your documents section. Those are all actually videos.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I can play. I'm actually planning to do a demo because you mentioned
Did
that
I jump ahead? I apologize.
No, it's all right. You mentioned that someone is particularly interested in how I coded in the video. I'm going to do a demo. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to load a video from my folder, and to just do a complete demo, how I load my file, how I load my transcript, what the video will look like after they load it, and how I now code it. So if we're talking about the entire procedure of doing qualitative study, is if you want to have your study published or shared, and you have to have an IRB. That's my understanding of IRB. Maybe it's too narrow.
And the students don't have to do an IRB for this class, but they will have to do an IRB for their capstone or their thesis, whichever, because our program allows students to either do a capstone project or a thesis to graduate, and either one, they'll have to do an IRB.
So to do IRB, for the IRB, the purpose, have you covered the purpose for the IRB already in your class?
We did. All I wanted you to say was that you did all that. Like that's all long in the past. You did all that. And then you conducted these interviews, and here they are. And each one of those things under documents, that's all I wanted you to say was just that. And then those numbers to the right of where it says like NEWT-RE, that's like the name of a particular interview that's like how you're designating that interview and those numbers to the right, 41, that indicates that there's 41 codes in that
specific video. Yeah. All right. So I want to show, the code book in the MaxQDA is showing as a structure, and you can see from my code book that and on the MaxQDA you can assign different colors for different layers of the codes. So all my first layer codes, I assign them as a yellow. You can see the first code, the mentoring experience, understanding leadership, mentorship and leadership, career, miscellaneous. So those 5 are my first layer code. So I assign them as yellow. Then the second layer I assigned was purple. So you see what's the blue one over here? That is the code. That's the code I would say this. I created and decoded on the participants in nonverbal, not nonverbal. It's not from what they told me. It's like my own observation. So that's why this code is like a singled out and not put under any other categories. So those codes are the ones you might want to include in your discussions while you're writing on your findings, because those are like outliers. So you want to show what you find and make it more to show your unique contributions. Then you see the second layer, I have the purple, then the third layer, gray. The fourth layer, I have orange. The fifth layer, I have brown. And the sixth layer, which is the like the lowest layer, I have blue. And and all the blue codes are the initial level of the codes. And all the blue codes were created and decoded on my first cycle. So I watch the videos, I code everything, though everything, all those codes will be are word coded and colored as blue. So all the colors, all the other colored codes are created later on after I compare the codes and put them in the different categories, then I structure the categories and come up with themes. That's how that will cover that on the coding iterations later. And so here I just want to show you like a look of my code book.
And I'm going to jump in here. What Jen just said is absolutely vital. It's really key. So what he said was that the ones that are the furthest indented in that are on the screen, and they all start with LQ except for the one in the middle that says make sure all team members have the same vision. Those were the codes that during his first pass through the data, those were the codes he was coding things. And what the code system looked like at that point, there was no indentations and no different colored dots. It was just over 100 of these all at the same level with these like little phrases. And he just had hundreds of those because he just did his first pass of coding through all of the videos. And then the structure that you can see now is the structure he created through his analysis. And so that's the same thing you all are doing with your coding and your analysis. You all are doing the same thing.
So, oh, no problem. I hope I hope one day I can explain myself as clear as you do. So
No, it just always works better if you have if it's like you'll do the same when you have another person to work off of. It isn't that you're not explaining clearly. You are. It just, when you're the second person, you're the way you jump in and explain things. Anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to come and be a guest speaker when you're teaching, okay? And then you can jump in and.
No, I won't. I will say whatever,
Yes,
whatever she says, go and listen to that and just ignore me. All right, Lottie and Danielle, so I'm gonna do, as I promised, I'm gonna do a demo on how to code a video. Before I go to that, do you have any questions for me on this coding structure and code book part?
Can you click on, can you click on one of, click open the understanding of leadership one, like that's all collapsed. Sure. Like close up the mentorship and leadership one and open up one of the other ones. Okay. And then open up each of the levels, like under that one. Yeah. Just to demonstrate what's all up in those.
No problem. So the structure I showed you are the deepest layer I have in different, in the codes. So because of the variety of the richness of the information, and also based on the scope of the research questions, and not all my first layer codes had the same level of the depths of the others. So you can see, so on this one, like I don't have the brown and the orange. And this one, yeah, so it's just green, blue, purple, yellow. It just all depends on the depths when you structure them together. Not all of them will, not all codes will remain the same structure. It's not going to happen like once you have 6 layers on one code, you will have 6 layers on everything. That's not normal. That's not just normal. So, but for each one, you will see all the different layers. Some of them are smaller, like this one only have 2 layers. And this one just have a bigger ones, more layers. And for career, That's why it's called a structure. They have like a table of contents, like first chapter, then 1.1, then 1.11, then 1.2, 1.3, like that. Any questions?
No.
Okay, so now I'm gonna just, boom, it's back to where it's supposed to be. When you open your Max UDA, this is probably the window you will look at. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a demo video coding. So first I have to import a video. So I say I go to the import, I import a video instead of audio. Another image or other or the transcript I'm incorporating with the video. So I'll say, okay, I'll just click a random one. Just say go with the first one. No, this one is not a video. Okay, I'll go with this one. So just open it. They ask you, do you want to import transcript to this video? If you click yes, you will see the transcript on the side. And if you click no, you won't have transcript on that. So I will say yes. Then they ask me to put the transcript. Let's say transcript, and just import the video and the transcript.
Which program did you use to make your videos?
Zoom. I recorded on Zoom. So
Okay,
I did.
and you had Zoom do a transcript at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And Zoom's transcript sometimes can be a little funky.
And the video transcript, do you do it manually yourself?
Oh no, I didn't do it manually. So I recorded I conduct all my interviews on Zoom. Once I record my interviews on the Zoom will do automatic transcription for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As long as you click that option in the setting.
So this program doesn't do the transcript for you. You have to do
Max UDA? No, Max UDA doesn't do any
it.
transcript.
Doesn't do it. Okay.
Max UDA is a pure coding software.
Okay.
How did you create the names for your files, for your documents?
Oh, just the documents?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you how to do that. Okay. Like when you import video, it's just gonna take a while. I wish it's faster. And also when you're importing a video, okay, so it already exists in the folder. Oh, okay. Okay. Ooh, okay. So I don't want to overwrite it.
Yeah. Don't.
Okay, so I'll say,
yeah, just
don't
say
overwrite
no.
it. You see no?
No.
They will give you, so, okay, so here asks you, do you want to insert timestamps? When you say, I normally say yes, then I will insert timestamps. Okay, you probably won't see this. I'll show you here. Give me a second. I got 2 minutes. Okay, thanks. Okay, hold on. My Max QDA video window is okay. You can't see my video windows because it's on the other side. Okay. So you're gonna do my Max QDA. I see if I can. Somehow you can't see my video.
Do you want me to do mine?
No, no, it's all good. It's just something I'll click. Okay, so I'll click off my Max QDA first and I'll just open it again.
Okay.
Okay. So remember, so now we see that the new video incorporated will be under my documents. As Danielle mentioned, that they have all these random, these are the same name as your files. And we'll change the name. We'll change the name later. I'll show you how. I just need to click off my Max QDA now and to do it again. My Max QDA has been open there for like 3 days. So probably a little wacky now. All right, we're back over here. Okay, okay, here, share. Okay, so now you see, so now we import a video file, and you might see, where's the video? You're asking, where's the video? I don't see a video, I only see a transcript. And you just double click it. It's not coming. Okay, where you right click it, you say open video file. Oh, there's something wrong with my Max 3D probably. Okay, I'm gonna share it with you on this screen. I don't know what happened, but this window just showed up on my other screen and it refused to be minimized and moved to my on the other screen. I don't have an idea why. And this seems like, but now wait, I can show, so I can show you how to do a video coding on this file. So here you can see this is video, this is me, this is my participants, and you can see the timestamps on the video, right? See the 2, 4, but this is too, for me, I like to make the timestamps more dense because this is too scattered, and when I play, I just go too fast. So I don't like that way. So I would just click this zoom out. So I make everything more dense. Then so now my entire videos here, you can see I have timestamps from 0 all the way to like about 49 minutes, 28 cents. Okay, so now if I'm like coding this video, so I would just play it, I just listen and see, okay, something's happened, and I click this. So I'll put on here, you will see start of clip selection. Can you see the words? So when you click this, and it marks where you want the starting point of your code, and then you let it play. You let it play, and you just listen. You see, okay, I'm still talking about the same thing. So you're talking about the same thing. You can look, you see my participants confused, and he doesn't want to talk to me or someone. Say, okay, well, I'm here. And he's like, oh, I'm smiling because I don't want you to see. I don't want to be here. And you say, okay. You say, okay. So now you say, oh, my participants is pretty much more serious now. You say, okay, I'll just put, I'll say this. The stuff just passed. I can make it a code like mark participants is zoning out. Just make it up. And you click this end of the clip selection. So you can see this part is highlighted. When it's highlighted, you click right click, you say code with a new code. So you see it's here, another option, code with something. These are the codes I already created. So if you want to use that code, you just click it, that will just automatically assign an already created code. But here is a new video. I just want to say, okay, let's code with a new code. And you will pop up dialogue. We say, My participants don't like me. Sad. Okay, then you give them a color.
You would, can
What?
can you give it like a serious code, Jen?
Okay.
But, and I also want to note here, when you're doing this on a video, there's a lot of like, you watch for a while and then you stop, and you're thinking about it, and then you're like, oh, they were talking about blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so there's a lot of like going back. So you,
Okay.
you know, you just like click back and you're like, let me listen to that again. And you listen to it, and you go, oh yeah, I gotta code that something. I don't know exactly what. When you're doing your first pass of coding, this is what it's like. And you're like, but that whatever was going on there, that was important. I gotta code that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
So
I was
there's a lot of like, you watch for a while and then you go back, and then you watch for a while and then you go back. I just wanted to mention what the process is actually like.
No problem. I will show you that again. So now I'm just gonna code this. Now you see you have the code applied on this highlighted part of the video. And then you just keep listening. You keep listening and you say, okay, I just click another start. I just mark another starting point. Okay, just for the demo purposes, let's say I'll just put it over here. Okay, so let's just pretend I listened to, oh, come on. Okay, I just pretend I listened to like here. I said, like what Dr. Chandler mentioned, that when I listen to here, and I say, okay, I think I captured something he said, right? I captured what my participant said, but he said, oh, but I think he talked about multiple meanings. Yeah, I don't want to code like everything in one code, because that would be harder for me to structurize them later. Then I'll just need to go back. When I'm going back, and what you do is you click this, you click the cursor of the stick on the timeline, you just put it back. You just click it, you just click back. You can click anywhere you want to. You just click back. But when you're clicking, as long as you don't click here, the start point mark, and the end start mark, your starting position won't change. So here, okay. So let's see. I click this one here. So let it play. I want to all the way here. So there are two ways you can do it. You can do move cursor run here. They're all connected with each other. You click the timeline. I just responding slow. You click your timeline, and the play bar will keep going. So they're related. So they're connected to each other. So you can choose either one. Let's say, okay, I don't know. I want to from here. So where you say, okay, I want to listen again. You see here, okay, I forgot it. I want to listen again. You just mark it again, just let it play.
You can also have segments that are kind of like overlapping. where you're
Uh-huh.
coding, you know, like there's one part where you coded it with some kind of code. And then there's a segment inside of that, like entirely inside of that, that you have coded with a different code. And then there's like another code where you have it, like it's overlapping, that's allowable too. So,
Yeah.
because that kind of situation can come up.
So now, why? So as Dr. Chandler mentioned, like as she mentioned that while you are doing your first round coding, if you're doing the video coding, you will do this a lot. You will just let it play to hear. You say, okay, this is the highlight, is the one I just heard. But you say, oh, like what I mentioned, like, oh, I don't want to code all these. I want to go back, and then you just move it back to, let's see here. You're not really sure. You will move to, basically you will never move to exactly the point you want. But you just basically, and I don't know how to do, and I actually haven't found a way to go back to exactly where I want it. So what I did was I just move it back to a certain like approximate position. I felt probably that's about okay. Then I just let it play. You see, I am capturing the place I want to go. And now here's the, okay, stop. Then you click it and then you code another thing here. I would say I move back the cursor on the timeline and the
What would be ideal is if QDA would have the transcript, like the actual text there for you, instead of the little zigzaggy thing that is like the oscilloscope, or whatever it's called, that little thing where the line is going up and down to indicate that the volume at which the people are speaking, as if that's somehow meaningful during the coding process, which, I mean, it is in terms of like where you can see, oh, there was a long break before they started talking. That's one of the cues you can use to know, like, to pick the coding spot. And also you can make it not be so squished like Jen has it. I usually leave it much more stretched out, because it, like you said, it is hard to pinpoint exactly where you want the coding to be, because the only cues you have is that line with the volume indicators on it. I would expect that perhaps in the future, a future Max QDA version will have where the transcript is actually visible on that line.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so, and then I just added another code. But like what Dr. Chandler said, I actually can overlap them. So let's say I have two codes over here, right? So I want to code something in between, like overlapping these two. So you just put your cursor back inside of the first one, you put a mark, and you click your left click and move it to the middle of somewhere of the second code that you want to do. And you finish, you code another one. Let's give it like an overlap code. See, on this code, you will see that the three codes are overlapping with you or from each other. So from the, okay, I actually don't know if I can. I actually don't know if I click the transcript, they can direct to some places.
I was
Okay, that's good. That's good. This is something I just discovered today. I actually never tried it before. So as I showed you, before, because I import the transcript with my video together. So when you open up your Max QDA, when you have a video, and you will also have a transcript on the one side. So there's a one way to quick locate to the place. It's a quick way to locate where you want to be, where you want to get in the video. Is you go through the transcript, you double click the transcript, you go through your transcript, you say, okay, I want to get here, double click that sentence, and the video will automatically get to where it is. So I can't show you both screens. I have double screens on my computers. Cannot show you both of them. But for example, I am having my transcript ready over here. And I just say, okay, I want to get to I want to see my participant talking about this. So I just double click it. Does it move? Okay. No. That's weird. It's moved over here. Do you see this highlight?
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know it did that.
Did you see the highlight
Yep.
on this side? Because I double click the part, I did double click that part on my transcript, so they highlight on this directly. So actually that's a little cheat sheet that when you're coding a video, you actually can code the transcript on the side.
Would you, oh, go ahead, please, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah.
What is the benefit between coding on the video versus coding the transcript?
That's
exactly what I was gonna ask you.
$100 million. Okay, that's $1 million question. I want to delegate to Dr. Chandler to answer you this question because I'm going to share a story. Okay, so I'm going to share a background story with you. When I started to study, I said I plan to just code on the transcript. I said code on transcript, done. I'm all good. But it wasn't. I didn't get a yes from her, and she convinced me to do a video coding instead of a transcript coding. Now, let's welcome Dr. Chandler to answer this question.
Well, I was going to ask you to say what you, and he did it. So how do you think your coding and your analysis benefited from doing it that way?
Now you kick the ball back to me. Okay, I would say one advantage is when you're coding, like what I showed you before on my coding, there are certain things that wasn't told to me by my participants. Those are the stuff I documented for my observation. For example, not this participant, but I did have a couple of participants. When I asked them a question, it's like, oh gosh, let me think of it. Ooh, that's a big question. So for that part, you will never capture that moment from the transcript. All you can see from the transcript is, gosh, that's a good question. Like murmuring, nothing. So when you're looking at the transcript, you wouldn't capture the moment of their feelings and emotion, they're expressing their emotions that you can tell they're not ready to answer that question. They probably felt confident to say, okay, throw at me questions, I'm ready. Boom, I throw them a question, it's like, oh gosh, really? This is the first question you ask me? They're not ready, but I can never capture that moment from the transcript. That's one thing you do in the coding the video over transcript. And the second is that when you're coding the video, when they say something, you can see how they say it. You can hear how they say it. You can see how they say it. It will help you to interpret what they meant behind their words. Maybe they're just like being sarcastic. They said, sure, I'm really good at it. What they meant probably, nah, I sucked at it. But coding the transcript, you can never capture that.
So basically, coding through video helps you to capture the non-verbal communication.
Yes, nonverbal communication, exactly.
In the, okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And also another thing, what I did very useful to me was the personal reflection. When I'm coding my video, I can do a self-reflection on how I managed the interview, how I asked the question, how I responded to them, how I asking my follow-up questions. As probably you have already known for this past hour, I'm a really chatty person and I'm very wordy when I'm talking. And I can do a reflection on me when I'm doing the interview that, oh, I probably shouldn't do that when I'm asking questions. Then I can change and improve and like later on. Because I didn't realize that when I'm just doing my interview. I felt I did fantastic. Like all my participants are happy, we're fluffy and pretty conversation, and everything was so good to me until I looked and coded my video. I said, oh, crap, I did such a bad job. I think that's a personal, that's a good part for myself. And I also, and while I was coding, I also write down, so if you can see over here, so first one is, okay, so here you say new memo. Which I can open up a memo, like dialogue. These are not codes, but these are the feed, like how you, like what you're feeling, what you observe, you can jot down over here to help you later on do your analysis. Okay, is there anything you want to add in? Is there anything you want to add on based on what you said, what I said? Those are just those are the three parts I helped me, but I believe there will be more.
I actually want to ask, apart from recording on Zoom, do you know any other program or software that can do transcript for you for audio or video?
Oh, Zoom will do that for you. The Zoom will do that by themselves.
Okay, in case, like
But if you don't, yeah,
like
if
I
you
have
don't,
an audio recorded interview I did.
Oh, yeah.
Otter, if you use Otter, I'm going to put it in the chat, OTTER. It's free software. That's the name of it, Otter. You can download that onto the software,
Okay.
Otter, onto your laptop.
Okay.
Or you can download it onto a phone. It's really easy to use. The free version does have a limit, like a monthly limit onto how much time you're allowed to, but it will take an audio file and it will produce a text file from it.
Oh, I should have asked this question about 2 weeks ago.
And
I was doing
the other option for videos is, and this is kind of a roundabout way to do it, and you have to have a YouTube channel. Like you can upload upload videos to your YouTube channel, and you can leave them private, I think, or you could leave them unlisted. Yeah, but see, you can't. You should never. No one should ever be uploading recordings, whether they're audio or video recordings that they're doing for research. It should never be uploaded to YouTube, but other videos you could upload to YouTube, and the app, it takes a while, it takes a couple hours. There'll be a transcript file on your video in YouTube. It's not always completely accurate, but YouTube will let you download it in 3 different formats. And it'll also let you go in and correct it. So you can go in and read it all and make any corrections that you need to make. But Otter, that free software, it's better than what we have on the screen right now in terms of accuracy. I've seen it in action, and it's very accurate.
Great. Okay. So now I'm gonna go back to my Max QDA screen, and I'm gonna answer Danielle's question, how you change the name. So here, okay, so Danielle, can you see the document? So here, you right click it, rename document. Let's say read video. Is it called a great video? And no, they will just change the name. And also you see the transcript, they'll change the name as well here. Does that answer your question? Okay. So Dr. Chen, do you think there's any other things you want me to show for coding a video?
No, I think that was really good. So
Oh, there's one more thing. Let me show. Like, let's just in case you haven't.
Can I ask a quick question before you
Sure.
move? Is coding the video and audio similar and the same thing? You do the same?
Yeah, it's the same thing. You just like when you're decoding the audio, you just don't see a picture. Yeah, the timeline is it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. The timeline is.
Yeah, the timeline is all the same. Okay, so one thing I want to show you, just in case you haven't got that far apart. So you see, I have structures in my code book. In case you're wondering how I did it, it's just easy. For example, okay, so I'm here on my code book. So now I have all three. These are the three codes I coded from the new video, and there's no structure there. They're all first layers. How I want to make a structure, you just left click one, move it to the other one, boom, you got your structure. And then you want to move another structure, you click, boom, you got three structures. That's how you do it. Simple. Just in case you haven't figured out, this is a way to do it. And here you see this arrows. So when you see the arrows pointed to the right, it's not collapsing. Was it collapsing or is it collapsing? When you click it, it is uncollapsing. So that's how you check, because later on you will see your code are so long, you have to fold them to be able to see other codes. Otherwise, it'd be like you have to go do this. Like, you have to do this.
What is the folder on the bottom that says sets?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh,
I never. It just always there. The first ever since the first day, it just ever's there. I don't know actually what that one's doing. Dr. Chandler, do you have any idea?
not a clue.
Yeah, it never affected me, so I never really pay attention or worry about it. I was like, I have too much things to worry about me on the Max TV. I'll just leave this one behind.
Right, and I think that's I'm so glad you asked that question, because it brings up a key feature of like using this software or any kind of software to assist in the research analysis, is that this is really typical that you're going to use a tool for, Jen designed his research study way before he ever saw Max QDA, right? Like he never saw the tool, for months when he was working on what the research questions were, and he was going to do it mixed methods and was going to have a qualitative piece and then a quantitative piece, and all of that was established way, way, way before he came into contact with Max QDA. It was after he and I started working together, and we talked about this tool and another one you had used, and then another, deduce, and then another one that I had used. So we talked about these three different tools, and then we talked a couple of over a 2-week time span. we talked about the kind of the pros and cons about the tools. And Jen, you looked into and compared between Deduce and this one, right?
Mm-hmm. I have-
And go ahead.
Yeah. So the Deduce is a similar tool compared to MaxQDA. So I used to use that because Deduce is cheaper. I'm not a student in this class, so I can't get an education license, so I have to pay for it. So, but Deduce is cheaper than this software. For my personal experience, this software is quicker because this one I installed this one on my computer, and Deduce is more like an online platform. So you can access that one anywhere you want to, but it's just slower. And also, I want to work with and also Deduce, and the Deduce doesn't so the windows here in MaxQDA, it's very clear. Like everything, it's all clear. When you use Deduce, you have to, they also have these kind of windows, but they don't come out as a default. You have to look for them and open them up and manage them yourself. So, but to be honest, but in general, all these tools are these tools are like basically equivalent, and it
Right.
all depends on your familiarity.
And there's some others. There's some other tools too out
Like
there.
in
But,
Vivo.
yep. But the thing is, the researcher is going to like zoom in and like get really good at the few things that they're using the tool for. And then everything else, they're going to be like, yeah, well, I don't know what that is, right? Because the objective is for them to accomplish their research goals, not to become, a tool jockey, right? So that's why you end up with that, where it's like Jen knows a whole lot about this, but then it's like sets. What are those? Well, I don't know, right?
Yeah, I never explored that thing. Oh yeah, and so just another thing, if you're wondering how to assign different colors to your code, you put your cursor on the code, right click, you see the color, you just assign, see now I want to assign a different color. They ask you change color for subcodes. If you click yes, all the codes will be purple. See, all three of them are purple. And if I say, okay, I want to change it to this, and I say no, only the top one change to orange, and the rest of them remains the same. They are purple.
And that option, further to the right, was an option to even to customize it, right? And to select your own color, right? Like those little dropper
Yeah.
things.
Like
Don't
choose a new color.
Yeah.
Choose a new
ooh,
color.
You can even like
I want like
pick a
this.
color that it didn't have, right? Like if you're like, it needs to be.
If you have like 20 layers of codes, so you probably need to define your own color. No. Okay. Are there any other questions for me on the MaxQDA itself?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
We
Shoot.
are still in the same page, but the question is, in coding, when you have similarity in word or meaning, how do you match the code?
How do I what the code? Make the code?
Merge. You merge.
Oh,
the code.
merge the code. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I just showed. Okay. So when you merge.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just let them go. Okay. So here you see these three codes are the ones I coded from this new video. Like my participant don't like me. I'm sad. I move back the cursor and I misspelled the cursor. Back the cursor on the timeline and overlap code. So these three codes are the ones I newly built on the new video. And see, when you're looking at it, you compare them, you say, okay, I want this let's say I want this, my participant don't like me and overlap code. They're the similar. I want these two to be under the same category. So how to do that? So how to do that is first, you see, you create a name, you create a category code. So I see can you see this? You see this green add button, the green add icon? Can you see that? Green add. So you click it.
Yes.
So you just say, okay, I want to, I just say category 1. Now you have category 1. So how you want to move these two? So I want to move these two codes under the category 1. You just left click a code, and move it on top of the category you want. Then your code will be structured under the category 1. And you want another code to be under the category 1, you just move another code on top of category 1. Boom, you got that. Is that what you're asking for?
So what he's explaining is that like the category 1 would be you realizing, oh, look, I have these 3 codes that I came up with, but really those are all talking about the same thing. Like, let's say those are all mistakes that people made. They're different mistakes, but they're all mistakes. Even if the person that I interviewed didn't call it a mistake, in the context of the research I'm doing, those 3 things that I documented in those 3 different interviews, those are all mistakes that the participant made. And I want to take each of those, and I don't want to delete or merge or get rid of any of the detail I have at the lowest level of the coding. So I create that category thing called mistake, and then I would just drag my 3 things that were the mistakes that the people talked about, even though they didn't use that word mistake, and I would drag them all underneath the way that Jen is doing right now.
Does that make sense? Okay, so now you see the mistake, you have a category mistake and you have a category error, and you see, okay, these 2 should be under another category that's called fault. So you click the code system, you click this green add. So you add another one. Oh, you probably don't see it, it's over here. You see like a new code. I just put a fault. Okay, so now this is a new code, and I want to make this code as like father category for both mistakes and errors. So you left click mistakes and put it under fault. So now the category mistakes is under fault. And you can put this error, you left click and move it on top of the fault. So now both error and a mistake fall under the code fault. So you are now creating a 3-layer of structure. So Lottie, does that answer your question?
Yes, kind of, yes, it does.
So you're never getting rid of it. Jen did in this example, but in this class, the focus is on not getting rid of any of that original detail, that nice long phrase that you came up with for the coding that you did. You're going to have all of those underneath this other categorizing structure that you create once you start analyzing the codes themselves and understand the ways that they're interrelated with each other.
Okay, Lottie, I think I know what you're talking about. So you're talking about if I found these 2 codes are very similar, so you want to merge these 2 into one code. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, right click it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see, get to the 2 codes you want to merge.
Yeah.
Okay, so you press shift. I know if you're using PC or you're using a Mac, if the PC you click shift on your keyboard and you click them. You click one, press shift on your keyboard, click another one, or you just put like this. Oh, I'm sorry, not that. Okay. Okay, so now
Okay.
I do. On the Mac, you press Command on your on your keyboard. So you keep both of them. You right click. Did you see merge codes?
Yes.
Okay, so you click that. Boom, the two will merge as a one.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you go back again? Can you try that again?
sure.
Can
So
I?
okay, so you click one.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this one works though.
Okay.
No, this one didn't work. Okay. So what I do, so do you have a PC or are you using a PC or are you using a Mac?
Yes, I'm using a PC.
Okay, using a PC. So
Yes.
left click, so left click code miss. Okay, so left click the first code. Left click the first code, then press the shift button on your keyboard and the left click the second code. Then in this way, you can choose both of them. Otherwise, you can only choose one. You can only choose one at the same time. But if you want to choose, but you want to choose both of them. So you choose, so you click one, you press shift on your keyboard, right click another one. Now you now you chose both of them. And you right click, and you click that merge.
You
And
answer.
two codes get to the merge.
Okay. Because what you were doing before, I was thinking that is categorizing or something.
Yeah, it's a categorized. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You're
this
talking
is
about
more or
merge.
less. Yeah, this is what I'm asking. This match. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
And I think Dr. Jennifer just sent something now about that. Such important. Thank you.
I did. I put a link to the Max QDA,
Okay.
like the user manual, where they explain how to do this as
Yeah,
well.
I've read about it. I just want I want him to practicalize it. That is why I was asking about it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So Danielle, Lottie, do you have any other questions on Max QDA?
Not right now, but thank you. This was very helpful.
No problem.
Yes, not
Okay.
right now.
All right. So glad I got that part covered. I'm such a talker. Okay, let's get back to my presentation. I can't find my presentation. Show all window. Okay, back here. Oh, we got the research question covered. I got this code book, the Max QDA covered. Okay, so there's a coding iterations. So just a heads up, don't assume you only need to do one site, like one round of coding, you're done. That would never gonna happen. Just a little heads up. And I thought I would do that, but it didn't happen. So the coding iterations for what I did is what I show you, all those blue codes, like what I did on that new video. So I just code the video and the one by one, just that the way I showed you. And after you code all those videos and all your codes are parallel, all on the same level. Or all there's a put on that put on that box called what's called code box. You would see all your codes parallelly, no levels, no structures, all listed in there. And then after you code all your data, then you have to look at your codes and you have to merge, categorize, so whatever you want to do, you have to just organize those codes. Because those codes themselves, if you don't organize them, you will those codes can't help you answer questions because they're too detailed. They're too first level. Then you categorize them then you merge them, you categorize them, you organize them. Then you will, so after you categorize them, you will see, oh, probably need another level of categorize. Then you will have a subcategory, category, subcategory. Then that's an iteration. That's like an iterative process. You just keep doing it until you felt you're ready, until that you see your codes that will be able to help you answer your research questions.
And how do
And-
you know what the categories should be?
That's a good question. So so there are 3 ways to do it. There's one called ground up, there's one called top down, there's the one mixed. So the ground up is you look at the codes, you compare them and say, okay, this is talking about A. You give a name A. Then you have a bunch of categories. Then just like what Dr. Chandler was using the example, you say, okay, you have a one code participant A.
I'm gonna jump
do-
in. I'm gonna jump in, Jen, only
Okay.
because our time only goes till 6 p.m.
Okay,
So I'm gonna jump in and say
Okay.
that whenever you're stuck in like, how am I gonna categorize these? I don't know how to put these together and categorize. One of the ways to deal with that uncertainty is that uncertainty is telling you that you need to learn more about the research that's already been done on the constructs that you're uncovering. So if you, like in our pretend little example that we were fiddling with in the codes with mistakes and fault and error, if that type of data were coming up in your data sources, and you've never read any research that's been done with human beings that has to do with mistakes and fault and error, then that means you've got to go read some research to understand what that body of knowledge already knows about fault and error and mistakes. And when you read that research, that will give you some clues as to how to categorize things. So there's an iterative process during the coding where researchers frequently have to go read more research articles in order to get themselves much more deeply familiar with the stuff that's coming out of their data.
Okay, so that's a great, let me just show you an example. It's a quick example over here. Okay, you see my categories. Okay, you see mentorship and leadership have a lot of overlaps. Okay, so here you take a look at all the orange codes. So I have providing strategy focus, delivering results, leading others, connecting. So when I was coding them, I coded them from the blue up. Then I had these and said, okay, this one is talking about leaders executing visions. Then I stuck over there. I don't know what should I go over? Like go over to the next layer, because they're leaders executing the vision is still very narrow. It's still a very narrow perspective of leaders. But when I want to go up, I struggled. I don't know how to. Then Dr. Chandler gave me the suggestion, asked me to read more papers, then read more research. Then I found some research. They're talking about leadership competencies, which I used as a conceptual framework in my dissertation. Then I used and I referenced the meta leadership competencies from the literature as a code to categorize, to help me to categorize another layer of codes. So you see the orange codes: providing strategy focus, delivering results, leading others, connecting with others. Those are the meta competencies from the literature. Those are not the one I generated because I wasn't able to. And but I read the other people's study and they inspired me and helped me go through this coding iterations. And after that part, then so after these codes, I can group them and then start to come up with themes, which is the next step after you structured your codes, and you need to come up with themes. You read your code and see what they're talking about. You have to, because only themes can answer your research questions. The category cannot answer your research question because category doesn't have a meaning. The category only talk about what this one's talking about, but it doesn't answer anything. If you want to answer your research question, you have to come up with ideas, statements, argument, which is all based on the theme of the code's structure. Okay, and actually my next slides is to share with you a coding structure change. And that is actually, this is actually part of the code structure I just showed you. Why I called it the coding structure change. So at the first, I used purely ground up coding strategies. So I have a group of codes under this category called participants understanding leadership. Then I have a bunch of codes under another category called participant understanding mentorship, then participants mentoring experience, participants leadership development. So these are the categories I came up at the beginning when I code them, because these are what they're talking about. But can I answer my research question with these kind of categories? I can't, because my category is talking about how is these participants that are their understanding of mentorship connected or resonated with their leadership development. I can't answer that question if I just keep my code structured in this way. So I need to change my structure. And then after working with Dr. Chandler and also reading literatures, I break down the categories of I break down all of these 4 categories, and I restructured the codes under these 4 categories into the structure now you can see on the right-hand side. So now I have an overarching, biggest category is connections between mentorship and leadership. Then I have 3 different layers of connections. Number 1, mentorship concept, this is the bullet, mentorship concept and leadership concept overlaps. Number 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th. So mentoring experience help developing understanding leadership. And the last one, mentoring leaders take each other's roles. So all these 3 are themes. So these 3 are no longer categories. Those are themes. Those are argument and statement that actually mean something. But participants understanding the leadership, those are just categories. It doesn't have any argument behind it. And how I came up with these themes, I break down these categories and I mesh them. I break down them, I mesh, interweaving the codes under each category and restructure them. Okay, so does that make sense, or is that confusing? So under this concepts overlaps, you see I have, okay, both are interpersonal relationship and share similar competency components. And then you see this share similar competency components. This category, this theme are actually built upon the 5 competencies that I just showed you on my Max QDA. Those 5 competencies that I referenced and borrowed from the literature. And that solved my problem, because I do have my research questions. I do have my I do have the theme, like kind of the things I want to have. I also have the lower level codes, but I'm missing in between. And reading literatures and referencing their knowledge actually helped me build the bridge in between. Does that make sense? Or if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer. Okay, we have 15 minutes, but after this, I only have one slide to go. So you have any questions? Yeah, just yell out, and I'm more than happy to just to make it more clear.
And this part that Jen is describing, it was very, we worked on it together, and
yeah,
he did most of the work. And
no, you should see my face. You should see my face.
It wasn't always fun, right? Then it wasn't always fun, because I would ask him questions about what his codes could tell us. And I asked him really hard questions. And I could tell he was frustrated at many times in our conversations, because I really pushed him hard to roll up his sleeves and dig into that data and to make sense of it using existing knowledge structures that other people had already developed, so that he could use to make sense of his data to answer his questions with a lot of depth and richness and nuance. Because what he's got on the screen here with these new categories, it makes it seem really simple, but there's actually some really fascinating, nuanced insights that he discovered in his research that are going to be highlighted in what he publishes. That is really key things that he found. And you don't find those things unless you really push on the analysis. So, and in the next couple of meetings that all the students will be having with me, when they're showing me their codes and we're talking through them, we'll be doing that same sort of thing. But I promise you, it won't be quite that frustrating, because our scope is much smaller, and the complexity of the data that all the students are using it's not quite that complex. So I promise you, it won't be as frustrating as what Jen experienced with me. But this is probably a good time to go on to the next slide.
Yeah, I am an engineering student my whole life. So I train with the engineering problem solving mind. And so I struggled a lot with making sense of codes, making sense of the theory, and building connections. And I'm pretty sure all of you will have less struggle compared to what I have gone through, because like I'm just not very experienced, and I'm just not very experienced and very well exposed with social science stuff. Okay, so the next one is my page to give praise and compliment to Jennifer. So Jennifer, I want me to share with all of you like what the working experience is looking like working with her. So I would say the most like standout part about Jennifer is she's a straight shooter. So whenever she felt you made a mistake or you something can do better, she won't hesitate just to let you know, and they give you and then just point it out to you straight out. And sometimes it's probably too straight, but that's who she is. Sometimes, or some people is like, okay, how can I can tweak it a little bit and make you can take it more smoothly and easily. No, that's not Dr. That's not Jennifer. Jennifer just let you give you the what do you say, the truest the truth to let you know what is it. Yeah, that's who. And then
She doesn't sugarcoat it.
she doesn't. Everything she gives you is
No, she
better
doesn't.
medicine. Whatever she gives you is straight. It's like a effective medicine. No sugarcoating. You have to take it. But it worked. Like it solved problems. It solved problems. But it just like it's probably hard to take at the first moment, and you feel like, oh, I don't know. Sometimes when she told me what I did wrong, I was frustrated because I spent a couple weeks to come up with something I felt so proud of, and she just said, it's just like one bucket of like ice cold water on top of my head. As you have to no, this is not it. You have to do this and this. I'm like, that well, okay, so that personality led to one way of her working style is she's very detail driven. She won't let you off the hook unless she won't let you off the hook until she believes you getting to the level you should. And she won't let you off the hook until you can answer her question to the level she's satisfied. So she wouldn't hesitate to nitty picky the stuff that you like she felt like you need to know if you don't. And she likes to challenge you. She likes to challenge you to get to your potential. A lot of times I told her that I don't think I can do that, but she encouraged me to do it. By encouraging me to do that, she first challenged me to do it. And and sometimes it's hard to, and sometimes that's like a bitter pill to swallow. But she likes to challenge students. But at the end, you look back, you will thank her. At the moment, you just don't want to talk to her at all. So another thing I really appreciate about her is that maybe you have already noticed this. Jennifer is very approachable, and she's a very present. She's always there when you need her, and she's always there when you need help. When you need help, she pointed you to the directions you can just go look for answers, and she offer you resources and information. Sometimes it's more than I was even asked. So that's the part I really appreciate working with her, that she's very approachable, available, and present. And
we should have another slide here that is the working with Jen slide in that, so that I could say some wonderful things.
But they all know you, they don't know me. So
right.
Like after this class, 5 days later, they probably even remember who I am. So they don't need to know what they need to know working with me, because they're all leaders. I don't think they will ever have time to work with me.
Oh no, Zen, you're in trouble. Now that you were our demo person, your email's saved, and when I have problems, I'm gonna be like
emailing you, say, how do you do this? How do you do that?
Yeah, there's one more thing I was preparing, like I want to share, like how working with Jennifer. What's that? Can't think of this. Oh yeah, this is one thing I learned a lot from her, is that she really trying to explain things to my level of understanding. So as I mentioned before, I'm from a technical background. So my bachelor was computer science. My master's was industrial engineering. And my old research, so I started my PhD in industrial engineering. My old research is time various variable pattern recognition. And so I came from that part of the mindset, and I understand things very differently compared to other students she had. But she didn't have any problem to spend a lot of time and trying to come up with analogies and examples that I can, to make sure that I can understand the concept and the theories and the knowledge she wants me to understand. And that is one thing I noticed and I really appreciate. And that's something I am trying to equip into myself and I'm trying to put in my arsenal. And that's it. That's all I have for today. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to be such a wordy person. And I probably prolonged a half an hour's presentation to 2 hours. And I always have that problem. I'm working on it.
No, I don't think you have anything to apologize for. I think it was, you did a fantastic job and I'm very grateful. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, there's one thing I want to tell Lottie specifically. So Lottie, I heard your research questions about integrating cultural, to teach the Asian people about your culture in Africa. And I can totally resonate with where you from, because I knew there are a lot of Asians now working in Africa. And actually 2 of my good friends used to work in Africa for a couple of years, and they had troubles to mingle with people over there because they just don't understand, and they don't understand them. They don't understand the people there. Yeah, I think the research you're doing is pretty nice, pretty great.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I just didn't come up with the research. I experienced I don't know how to put it, maybe conflict, cultural difference that results in a cultural conflict between the Asian and Africans.
Yeah.
And I used to work as an investor in the construction industry. And I know there's a lot of complaint, misconception, because of the different mindsets of the 2 different cultures. And I've had a lot of Asian friends. I've had some that I have to go back because they couldn't cope. And I have some that invest a lot of money over there that they just keep having problems with their staff. And my major capstone project is to look at, maybe it's going to be necessary to train majority of people that come, and majority of the expatriates that come to work over there, a little bit about what they are going to mix and the culture on ground, the working attitude of the local people. And I think it will work vice versa with people that want to work in, because a lot of, not only construction, a lot of Asian companies are springing up in Africa, So that is what prompted my research. And I really want to go deep into it, I like, when I asked you about why do you have 3 research questions for your PhD research, because for this topic, I have more than 10 questions, to answer on my topic. But I was just thinking, I narrowed it down. I said, well, I will pick it one by one. Maybe when I'm doing the PhD class, I will start throwing it in one by one. So that is, anyway, thank you for contributing to that and letting Dr. Jennifer know that you are aware of the situation on ground over there. That is it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sorry. Do
No,
you
go
have,
ahead.
do you have to pay for this program when you are doing PhD or doctor degree? Like we are having it for free, but when you are doing PhD, do you pay for it?
Yeah, because I use it as individual, because I'm not
Okay.
using it for class purposes. I'm not advertising I'm not promoting their, I'm not really
Yeah.
promoting. So I'm not letting other people know their product. So I'm using it on an individual basis. So yeah, I have to pay for it.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you again, Jen. And it has been a real learning process for me as well. Serving on Jen's dissertation committee, this is a first for me. I haven't sat on any other doctoral students dissertation committees before, so he has been the gracious recipient of this being my first time. Now, I'm not his dissertation chair. I'm just one of the committee members. So, but I do know the individual who is the chair. He and I have worked on projects together, and so it's worked out really well. And the part of that Jen just described, that was the first part of his doctoral research, and he'll move on to the other parts, and I'll be less involved because they're not qualitative studies. So thank you everyone it's 6 o'clock right on the dot, and thank you for coming. It's been wonderful. You folks had great questions, and I appreciate those questions. And anyone who's watching the video recording of it, if you want to ask questions, just email me with your questions, okay?
Dr. Jennifer,
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to give me and Dana a reward for attending?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Do you want that, Dana? Do you want some marks?
Absolutely. I'll put extra credit points for you into the system. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Jennifer.
Thank you for asking. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jan, for putting us through this and showing this to us. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
I'm thanking you on behalf of the OGL 574 class. Thank you very much.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I really appreciated the open commentary and letting us ask questions and get you off track. Thank you for that.
No problem. No problem. That's I appreciate. I really enjoyed the interaction with all of you, because otherwise I just felt like I was. Are you really there? Is it just you, or just a postboard of you in there?
Right.
Yeah, I hate when I'm teaching a class, when I'm doing a presentation, everyone's like all just click off, like they're just all, what is this, disable their videos, and I would just look a bunch of like black screens on the top. I was like, am I really talking to anyone? Or I'm just talking to myself? Yeah, I appreciate the interaction. I appreciate all the questions, and those are all great questions. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
I have one last comment. This is just a suggestion for Dr. Jennifer. I think this exercise should probably be moved to like a module 3. I'm just suggesting.
Okay.
Well, before we get into coding and we start all things, because there is a lot of information that he gave us that we probably have to go back to our coding and probably do again.
Okay.
Probably if we have those information right from module 3 or 2 or 4 could have been made better now. I'm just suggesting.
No, thank you for the suggestion. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Excellent. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to end the recording and end the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Have a good rest of the day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.